Hey, Biff, why does birthday cake sometimes cause heartburn?
Why do birthday cakes sometimes cause heartburn, Jock?
Sometimes people forget to blow out the candles first. See, I'm saying they ate the candles.
Joe!
Not going to work this week. Not going to work this week.
No! I said it 3 times. That's how it's supposed to work. If I say it 3 times, it's supposed to fucking work.
Hey, what kind of birthday cakes do ghosts like?
What kind of birthday cakes do ghosts like, Jock?
Ice cream cakes. Ice cream cakes. You can call for Joe again. He ain't coming. Or maybe he is, and that's why he's on the podcast. Oh! With that said, welcome to Carnival Personnel, everybody. Hello, Biff.
Hello, Jacques.
And happy birthday, Biff.
Well, thank you.
You know, big birthday plans other than getting yelled at Friday Night Hockey by a couple second liners.
Not in particular, but we'll see. I mean, you really can't plan for things like that. Those things just happen spontaneously, Jacques. You got to live in the moment.
I look forward to coming back and playing Friday night with you and yelling at you for giving up a goal on the 3rd shot on a 3-on-0 while I'm still on the other side of the red line. You miss it. Come on. Anyways, we just recorded next week's podcast. Before we talk about that, want to give a shout out to last week's Sideshow guest, Gene. That was a lot of fun. He's a really fun guy.
Guest. Yeah, fantastic guest.
It really was a lot of fun talking to him. I'm looking forward to seeing him play with Tragedy again, April 19th, in Cambridge. Yeah. Joe might have a conflict because he loves his kids and they're in a play, but they're also doing the same play on Saturday and Sunday. He's like, do I have to go to all 3 performances? So, but a big shout out to Gene. Great interview. Great guy. And next week's podcast, why don't you tell the fine folks at home what next week's Sideshow's about?
We did our Jock and Biff's top 10 Twitter follows list, and we basically, we just talked about who we like to follow and why we like to follow them, and it was a fun, it's a fun talk. So
it was no hints, but all of Biff's were wrong and all of mine were right.
Well, there are going to be some hints, like I think that it would surprise no one that. Your list may have included some, Batman adjacent, follows, and no surprise that my follows included hockey adjacent follows. So
Japanese metal bands.
Japanese all girl metal. Yeah, that obviously that's not a surprise.
We did have a lot of crossover too, or a lot that I had on my list that you debated putting on yours and stuff. So that was a really fun thing. So I did not want you. I had no intentions. Since we last recorded, the slap hurt around the world. Everybody has diagnosed it and everybody has talked about it. So I wasn't going to talk about it, except just before we start recording, the Academy slapped Will Smith pretty hard. Have you heard about this?
I have not, because I've been fishing all day.
Oh, is that what you did? Did you go out on one of your half day charter things?
No.
The koi pond in the backyard.
That's correct. Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Castaic and then Balboa Park. They're just neighborhood lakes and whatever.
You catch anything?
Oh yeah. I caught a couple things. I also lost an entire rod because I wasn't paying close enough attention, and literally a fish took my rod and reel. Okay.
Let's stop doing the podcast. We're not going to have a better story. So wait a minute. Is that the one that got away? Is that
100% got away? It's hilarious. It must have been a nice fish because it was fast enough to just drag it out. I couldn't even, I literally jumped into the water, but it was going so fast that I couldn't grab it. It was like, what the hell?
So when the fish in the catch and release, when you catch a fish and throw it back, and all the fish have stories about, hey, look at this scar. I got a hook in the mouth and I escaped. There's a fish now somewhere in the lake in Castaic saying, hold my beer.
yeah, basically. This was in Balboa, but yeah, sure. Yeah, same thing.
Oh, dude, that is hysterically awesome. No, the Academy slapped Will Smith with a 10-year ban.
Wow. Wow. A 10-year ban being so he can't come to the
He
the
can't
shows for
come to
10
the
years.
Oscar for 10 years.
Okay, so if
You
he
know,
gets nominated, he has to
right.
yeah, okay.
So he doesn't have to worry about picking Academy type scripts the next 10 years. He can just go make money doing Hitch Part 2.
I mean, yeah. I guess I heard, so it's that whole, and I didn't watch any of the movies. I'm not really qualified to really say this with authority, but there was a lot of mentions of how his performance wasn't really the best lead acting performance, but this was one of those lifetime achievement Oscars that was given, kind of a thing, right? So
Right.
so yeah, I get, so maybe that's what it was. So in that sense,
And I'll be honest, I almost did it last Wednesday. Chris Rock started his national tour here in Boston.
oh, I'm sure that's a hot ticket now, right?
Well, it was 3 days after it all went down, and the morning after, ticket prices and sales went up 800%. I mean, it was a sold out show, anyways. But but the problem is he doesn't get that money. It's a second and third market, and people reselling.
But I mean, all of his shows are probably sold out now, right? It probably wasn't before.
But it is now.
Now it's 100% sold out, right?
So yeah. So we weren't. I didn't want to talk about that, but I did, because you had put it on the rundown, and I had put it on the rundown as well. Dude, it's just time to end the Grammy bullshit. First of all, the Oscars is just, actors giving themselves awards and all that bullshit and all that pomp and circumstances. It's not really my thing. It's okay. I watched it. I usually watch it because management loves it. But the Grammys, dude, I've never been a huge Grammy fan, ever since it was like, I don't know, like 38 Special won Best Rock Album like 5 years ago. Or it was something crazy, some old band that no one except like 4 people who vote for it, like put it in this old band who put out an album. There's all these other great albums. But the fact that this year the Grammy handed an award to Louis C.K., come the fuck on. Yeah. Come the fuck on. Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead. I mean, the fact
you have to wonder, right? You have to wonder, is this like literally like, is this the Grammy voters sending a message? I mean, that's what that's kind of like what I was thinking. Is that what that means, right?
The fact that actors still rave about working with Woody Allen, and the fact that people will still work with, I'm blanking on his name, he lives in France, like the other pedophile Polanski. Yeah. I mean, when you're rewarding that shit, the fact that Will Smith wasn't thrown out of the Oscar, let alone given that award that night after violently assaulting somebody and having a mental breakdown, and then to give an award to Louis C.K. And I also think what's his face, Marilyn Manson was up for an award too. It's like, really, like that guy it's a lot of shit has come out about that guy. And it's one of those things. It wasn't one person making one allegation. It seems like, and the funny thing is, I don't think I was that surprised. I remember management's like, yeah, when you go back and listen to the lyrics, it's like, yeah, maybe we should have seen all of this coming, But yeah, fuck the Grammys and the Oscars for just rewarding some of the worst people.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, so I mean, you have to understand that given my musical preference, when they finally decided that they'll give my favorite genre a Grammy category, they gave the Grammy to Jethro Tull over Metallica's "And Justice for All." Their last actual great album. I know people say the Black Album was, no, shut up, Black Album is garbage. But I mean, yeah, I mean it's one of those, yeah. So I mean, it's one of those. I guess all the old people running shit from the 60s are still kind of running things, or at least they're running with that mentality. Right.
Yeah, I don't get that. Yeah. Hey, so something that was big in the news the last couple days that I've heard a couple interesting takes on, and I actually did a little reading on.
Yeah.
Elon Musk has bought Twitter, or has bought the majority stock of Twitter.
Or he's not the majority stock, but he is the biggest
stockholder,
single shareholder, right?
Yeah. And do you know why Elon Musk is trying to take over Twitter? What the consensus is?
Well, wasn't there like some stuff that he had going on with Jack Dorsey about, and I can't remember what the specific was, but there was a little.
I can tell you. Yeah. The kid is either in high school or early college. She's like a high school senior or college freshman, but there's a kid who
right. I remember that though.
Who tracks his plane.
Right, the itinerary. He was like publishing Musk's itinerary.
Because the FAA is public.
Yeah,
is public record.
Yeah.
And so he keeps posting where his plane is flying to.
Yeah.
Again, sidebar, the kid is, I guess, doing that with Russian oligarch planes now, and they're not too happy about it. And Elon Musk said, hey, for safety reasons, can you stop telling people where I'm traveling to and from? And the kid's like, no. And then he comes back with like $10,000. And then I think he went up to like $50,000. And the kid's like, yeah, give me $500,000 and I'll stop. And so Elon Musk went to Jack Twitter and said, hey, can you make this kid stop? And he's like, no, I can't. You know what I mean? It's like the kid's well within his right. It's FAA records are public records, and he's not breaking any laws. He's not, he's not saying this is where he's going, go beat him up. He's just saying, hey, and he's not saying Elon Musk is there. It's like, hey, this is where his private plane is going to. So, so that, there's always a story behind a story. But the biggest story, and I apologize, I should have let off with this. Credit where credit's due. The good old our good old pals in the GOP. I mean, gosh bless their racist hearts. They put all their racist shit on display over the past week, trying to block the nomination of Judge Brown becoming the first black woman on the Supreme Court. I mean, they gave it the good old racist try. You got to applaud that they really pulled out all the stops. They really worked their little racist hearts into it. But you know what? Justice prevailed. She prevailed. And at the end of June, she will be sworn in as the next, and again, when you look at this woman's record and the fact that the Senate that was, has voted her in 3 times for Senate, Senate things over like the last decade,
for other federal,
things, and yet, only the woman from Maine, the woman from Alaska, and Mitt Romney are the only 3 that voted for her. All the Democrats, the 2 pieces of shit Democrats, didn't put up anything. But the fact that they tried to call her a pedophile, and that they wanted to see her college test scores, which Tucker Carlson never asked to see, Brett Kavanaugh's, test scores, just anyways, no negativity. Let's stay completely positive. It is so great that she made it through. She's going to be a justice, completely qualified. Like, she's not a political hack,
And I think on top of that, having Kamala Harris presiding over the Senate, that vote went on top of that, I think that whole thing was great. Obviously the vote count wasn't great, but that whole aspect of it was great.
But when they're asking her, it's like, how do you feel about Brett Kavanaugh being dragged through the mud? It's like, you're calling her a pedophile at the same time asking about a guy who has multiple sexual assault legitimate. It's like, they had to make shit up about her to kind of muddy the waters, like their last 2 pieces of shit that got in. But another big thing this week, as I quickly told all my good friends at F&H that I put on Twitter, I am the proud owner of 4 boxes of Marsh Munch.
Yeah,
You a little jealous, Biff? A little jealous?
You should definitely get it. One of the things I found out is that I thought, oh yeah, blah blah blah. That's cool that there's a hockey player on a food box, and so I thought that was cool until I realized, what the hell am I going to do with this? And so and the reason why is that I don't know if I was able to dump it or what happened. Maybe it's buried somewhere in my boxes, but I had like I think when we went to Vancouver, like I bought craft boxes of the Ryan Smith, whatever, macaroni and cheese. And I'm thinking, Ryan Smith on a mac and cheese box. That's cool. And then like a few years later, this is stupid. What about
No,
you?
yeah, well, I get it because I did.
Yeah.
I did. I got a box for our friend Ruger. I got a box for Scotty Black. It's watered down cinnamon toast crunch, which he famously filled the Stanley Cup with cinnamon toast crunch when
Yeah.
and I posted on Twitter today. There's like a word search on the back, and it's like hockey, winger, goal. But one of the words that he had in his word search, chippy. It's like little self-awareness there, little self-awareness. So, but yes, so I have that displayed next to my pasta's pasta.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for Patrice Bergeron. So the best line in hockey I can have all three of their food items together.
Did Tim Thomas ever get a food product?
No, he didn't. But I believe he's nut flakes, cuckoo puffs.
Did Tuukka Rask ever get a food product?
No, I don't believe he did. I don't believe he did.
Okay.
So I guess another story that just broke before we start recording: criming in the U.S. is completely legal now. I guess the real people behind January 6th have not faced any charges. It's over a year.
Yep.
We're talking 14 months ago. One of the worst days in American history, when the Capitol was under siege. No big people who actually had it happen have gone to jail yet. There's been no repercussions. We keep hearing it's like Clarence Thomas' wife, and I'm not getting into that. But today, I guess two people got acquitted, and there was a mistrial in another one of the four guys who kidnapped the governor.
Well, they didn't kidnap. They had a plot.
They had a plot to kidnap, right?
Yeah.
But I guess
I think that if they actually kidnapped her, I don't think that I think it's hard to be acquitted of an actual kidnapping. I'm just going to take a lot.
Yeah, but it's like to quote the great Norm Macdonald, upon OJ being acquitted of the first charges that he had, it's like, and this just murder is legal in LA. But yeah, I mean, there was a credible plot. The people arrested, but yeah, nobody, so you know what? You want to go out and crime? Yeah, now's the time to do it.
I will. Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, unlike in Japan, where they take crime serious.
Well, yes, this is true. Are we going to skip straight to the This Week in Crime?
We're going to bounce all over the place. I'm just going to ask. I don't want to bury the lead. Yeah. Did that guy have a sword?
He had a sword. He was threatening another dude with a sword. So I know that you watched the video, so you know exactly what happened. But just for the not just for the benefit of our audience, so I found this news story where a guy was essentially, it started off, but it's straight to the point where a guy is threatening another guy. With basically a samurai sword, right? A short one, but a samurai sword.
He first Will Smith slaps him in the face.
Right. He does. Punches him in the face, and then busts out his sword. Now the funny thing is, the reason for that altercation was that the guy with the sword essentially kind of just parked his car, and when he got out, he slammed his door against the side of the other guy's car, right? And and made a dent, like a good sized dent. So I don't know if you saw the little car footage at one point in the video, but that's what that was about. So the guy goes, "Hey, what's up? You just put a dent in my car." Basically, that's what he said. And the guy comes back and says, "Yeah, screw you," starts yelling at him, and then goes back to the trunk of his car and busts out his Japanese sword. And so yeah, that was the the footage was just caught on somebody's dash cam video. So,
dude, is that the most Japanese thing? Is that the most Japanese?
I don't know that it is. I mean, obviously it was odd, and that's
he was wearing a Hello Kitty T-shirt while branding the samurai sword. It would, but I'm watching the footage and I'm like, that's a sword.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So what else is going on over in that crime-ridden hellhole you used to call home?
And then they had a feature on rampant, just rampant theft, in Japan, and so there was a couple of things. One is that in Japan they have this thing called the kind of like the the unmanned store, where basically, and we have it in this country too, right? You have the the farmers put out stuff on the honor system. So like I know that when I visited my friend in Michigan, there was this farmer that essentially was summertime. He just had like just tons of corn, and he says, here's the prices, like if 5 years for $5, 12 years for $10, whatever the price is, right? You count it out and you leave the money in their little bank, right? It's the honor system, right? And that stuff still happens in this country, and it happens all over the place in Japan also. But they literally found people who essentially just take stuff, and just don't pay for it.
Was there a guy who ran into somebody's farm and like cut down wheat?
It was actually, that it looks like wheat, but it's actually the Japanese green onion is super tall. So that was a Japanese green onion.
Okay.
That's what he was pulling. So there was that kind of stuff. But the thing that was great about the unmanned stuff, and then the other one, which I'll get into just a sec, but the unmanned stuff is that the TV network decided that this was important enough news. So they set up surveillance at this unmanned store. And then when they saw that a person kind of took stuff without paying for it, they chased them down or chased her down and said, hey, did you pay for it? Why, what did you do? So they basically, they pulled the Inquisition. But then the other funny one was they were basically doing surveillance in privately owned bamboo fields where people were stealing bamboo shoots without permission. And so once again, they set up surveillance, and
I couldn't really tell what was going on, but here are my notes. Let me read them.
Yeah.
Are there cameras all over the woods in Japan? Because it looked like a guy was just walking into the forest, and I'm like, wait, why would there be cameras in the forest?
Right, and there wouldn't be, except for the fact that this TV, station decided to do this feature, and they set up surveillance.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I did. I love the fact that the guy, let me first ask, sorry, back up.
Yeah.
Are green onions that expensive where a guy would have to, because it looked like he had a decent car and he could afford a nice car, but he can't afford to go to the store and get his green onions. He has to pull over at the side of the road and just walk into a field.
I mean, so let's think about this, because I mean, we're relatively normal people in terms of what we eat, and like, how much green onions would you want to eat, right? So obviously this guy was probably gonna sell it, I guess. I don't know, distribute it to his entire extended family, because these green onions are huge.
No, he had a whole bushel. Yeah, he had like a whole big thing.
One green onion should last you like a week, like last your family a week, right? So if he's taking like, say 40 of these, what the hell is he going to do with like, 40, green onions?
Yeah, survivalist who's jarring these things. Is that a big thing over there? Preserves? I don't know.
No, look, they don't have the same kind. They do have these people off the grid, but they don't have the doomsday, they don't have the bunker people there. So
so another what could become a hell on earth existence. The world is going pro-fascist. I don't know how much you're following this. France is about to have an election. Oof. And the last election they had, Marine Le Pen, whose father was the head of the French Nazi party for like 30 years, and she changed the name. It's still a Nazi party. It actually is a Nazi party. They just the Nazi word kind of has it. We like everything the Nazis stand for.
They just rebranded themselves.
But the word Nazi has a negative connotation. Yeah. So let's rebrand it. But she is a Nazi, and she was very public. She couldn't. So in France, not that I know the complete inner workings of the government finance, but the government pays. There's finance laws. So the banks have to pay. You have to get your money in a certain way. None of the traditional backings in France wanted to attach themselves to the Nazi party. So she got all of her funding from Russia. And that's not did that really happen? She got on a plane, took all these public, and this is going back like 4 years, 5 years ago, or maybe it was 6 years ago. I don't know how long Macron's been in office, but she went to Putin to get funding. And again, it's not that Putin, let's say, is pro-Nazi, because we know that's why he's in Ukraine to fight the Nazis. But
of course.
But he just wants to. Oh, wait a minute! This is going to tear France in half. And she was talking about doing Brexit for France. She wants to pull France out of the EU. And here's Putin saying, "Well, How can I break up the EU without firing a shot? Let me see. Why don't we fund Marie Le Pen's? Why don't we fund Donnie Three Scoops of the United States? But right now, she's polling really high. France could absolutely, because I know there's a lot of, I was there a few years ago and I saw it firsthand. We have a friend who's French and she was talking about it. I talked with her dad, and this is going back a few years. This is 2017 when we spent the summer in France, humble brag. But seriously, the anti-immigrant sentiment was so strong. The Chinese are taking over Paris and all the refugees are coming over here. All that stuff that that we have.
A lot of North African immigrant hate, right?
Right. Yeah, and so it's one of those things where the same things that people have led to power in Brazil and have led to power here and stuff like that. Yeah, that's
I think Germany had a similar issue for a while, and I think it's still there. It's kind of same kind of uprising there, I think so.
Right, but it's just scary that we know pretty much come November this country is going to go back into the hands of the people who think January 6th was the best day in U.S. history, where we think it is. It's going to go back in the hands of people who not only think it was a good idea, who helped plan and plot it, but by then France could be out of the EU. Well, it would take a while, but also she has said she wants to pull out of NATO, and again, she's funded by Putin. So we are literally, the world is literally fighting a war with Putin. NATO is standing by all the border countries, and here France is about to flip. But and while we're talking about it, the war in Ukraine, I hate when they say the Ukrainian-Russian war. It's not, but the war crimes, which I wish we had Professor Cook on.
Ooh,
How do you prosecute Putin for war crimes? Because as of today, the recording of this, they bombed a train station.
Yep.
As people are trying to evacuate the war, Putin is bombing train stations. There's also now all this evidence that they executed, mob style, handcuff people, shoot them in the back of the head. Civilians. And how isn't invading a country a war crime? Isn't that a war crime itself? Isn't just starting an unprovoked war a war crime? Or am I just a snowflake?
You definitely have, and you have all the stuff with the, the rape. Literal rape and pillage, right? You literally see, one of the hilarious things that's happening is the, they're basically able to track, troop movement, because when they, steal Ukrainian iPhones, they're using the, where's my phone feature, and they could see exactly where they're going.
Yep.
Which is hilarious and awful at the same time, right? It's like these people are obviously, they're not. It is clear that they're, there for the rape and pillage, and obviously, what resources in Ukraine is different than, say, in Afghanistan or wherever. But we definitely did not hear this, U.S. troops, essentially rape, pillaging. Stuff from their little activity, Middle East war activities, right? So there definitely are standards to what you should be doing as a troop in the context of I'm here for a military operation, right? That's there's definitely a difference in what these troops are doing.
But it's just getting worse, and I don't know how much longer you can sit on the sidelines. You know what I mean? It's like how many more baby hospitals have to be bombed and train stations have to be bombed before the West says, you know what? Yeah, it's only going to escalate. Right. Anyways.
Well, I would like to see the explanation in terms of what it is what it takes for them to, basically support Ukraine a little bit more. Directly militarily, right? Because I know that they're saying that, well, we, essentially jumping in right now is entry into World War III is some of the things that I've heard, but I don't know if it's that simple. So I really like to see the smart people kind of really explain properly, what the ramifications are.
Yeah, the fact that Putin is going with the tried and true. Well, I can't win this. I can't get the city to submit, so I'm going to level it to rubble.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But you know what, Biff? Let's worry about the wars at home. Let's worry about the wars that the brave war that is being fought against the people at the Disney Corporation and the state of Florida. Ron,
the don't say gay thing, right?
Well, Ron DeSantis is so my favorite thing is I saw so many people retweet this today. So many people retweet this today. People that we follow, like we were talking in next week's show. People saying you should cancel your Disney vacation and go to a family-friendly place like Dollywood. You realize how LGBTQ Dolly Parton has been forever?
Having said that, I don't disagree, right? I mean, right, to some degree, it's like, I mean, who like among the people with our, socio-political stance doesn't want to support Dolly Parton over the Disney Corporation, right? If I look at Dolly Parton,
100%,
Disney Corporation, right? We know which side we want to be on, right? So in that ironic way, they're kind of right. They're right, but
but a lot of the people who are up in arms about Disney saying, yeah, we're not anti-gay, they don't know how pro LGBTQ Dolly Parton is. I'm guessing a lot of those same people who support Ron DeSantis, who are COVIDiots, might not know that Dolly Parton helped fund the Moderna, vaccination shots.
Among other things, right.
I mean, I agree. If you're going to compare which company I would want to support,
right.
I'm 100% getting behind. Who, by the way, I don't know if you follow the Dolly Parton story that much. She has just offered free college tuition for any employee.
All her employees. Yep.
You can start today.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I can't afford to go to college. Well, if I take a part-time job, because it's for part-time employees too, she will pay for your college. I mean, she just, now that Betty White is no longer with us, I think the best person alive right now might be Dolly Parton. I think it might be Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
But
definitely up there, right? I mean.
So speaking of COVIDiots, I ask you this every couple of weeks. Is COVID done? Are we all done? Is it in the clear? Do you remember back when COVID was a thing, Biff?
Yeah, it's kind of, who knows, right? I mean, I guess I will say that we're at a point where, we have hospital capacity, right? And people are still going to keep dying of it. So the numbers are like not like it was, and then the way we can respond to it is not the way it was in essentially the summer of 2020. So certainly it's in a different area. Like, I'll be honest with you, I kind of am in that relatively freewheeling mode from the standpoint of I unfortunately did contract COVID, but I turned when I gave blood a couple weeks ago. They gave part of what they do is they actually test your antibody levels, and they told me that I have what they call reactive plus, which made the plasma that I donated eligible for convalescent plasma use.
Oh, so that's great.
So what that means is, that means that I have enough antibody system in my system to not just fight off COVID that might hit my system, but also fight it for somebody else, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm going to feel a little bit confident for at least another month. But then,
So last weekend, management went to finally get her booster. It's been a year. Right. She got, she had a bad reaction to the Johnson & Johnson, and so she's been, she really did.
Which booster did she get?
She got Moderna,
That's what I did too.
And I drove with her. So she, just in case she didn't feel good, it's like I went with her. And I said to her on the way, I'm like, hey, I wonder if I'm eligible for my second booster because we're going.
Yeah, you should be.
And she's like, no, I think it has to be 6 months. I brought my card anyways. We get in there, and I asked her, like, oh, they just changed it the other day to 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
Do you want to do it while you're here? So I went Pfizer, this time Moderna. And so I have my second booster. It's funny, though, my entire family now, my brother had it, a year ago. My parents just got it last week. They're fine, but my parents just got it. And my mom's like, see, it's just a cold. She's a Fox Newser. And I'm like, yes, but you've had your 2 shots and your booster. So it's a bad cold for you, but let's just be glad that you got your shots. And she's like, oh, you're right. My sister, who never had COVID, or did she? Because she gave blood last week. And they're like, oh, you had COVID at one point. And it's the same situation that you had. She has the antibodies. So they're like, yep. She doesn't know when she had it, but at one point she had it. So, so our entire, my brother had it, I had it, my sister had it, my parents, yay.
Well, I mean, I'm at a point where, so I feel that, I got it in January, so I think I'm good for a little while, but I figured that since I'm going to be among a lot of strangers from all over the country, in over Memorial Day weekend, I am going to get my next booster sometime next month. So, and that'll be like a 6-month wait, but I mean, obviously because I had COVID in between, I figured that, timing wise. So really my big question is, do I go J&J, Moderna, and now Pfizer, or do I go,
hit for the cycle, get the hat trick.
I'm thinking, do I go for the variety pack? That's kind of like, really, that's where I'm at on that. Yeah.
So I got no self-indulgent theater. I got no video game stuff. I got one thing in sports that I forgot to put on the rundown.
Well, then there's the stuff that we also talked about that I want to talk about.
We 100% will, but let me throw out mine first.
Yeah.
Remember a few years ago how my niece, hockey prodigy, won a tournament, and that her prize for winning this tournament and winning like a big shootout afterwards, that the Boston Bruins took her to San Jose. She was out on the ice.
Wait, who's her favorite player? I'll bet you somebody on the Boston Bruins, right? Who's her favorite player? Is it Marchand? Does she like Marchand?
No.
Bergeron?
No. Keep going.
Who's her favorite player? Pasta?
You would think it would be Pasta, but it's not. It's Alex Ovechkin.
Wow.
Who she has a great personal connection for. He gave her one of his sticks after a game, in Boston.
Wow. But I thought Ovechkin was a jerk. He gave her a stick?
Hey, you can look. Even a stop clock's right twice a day. You know what I'm saying, Biff? Or to quote our great friend Ruger, even a blind squirrel finds a nut now and then. Anyway, so let me go on. This past week, my niece Julia won the 13 and under national championship.
Yep.
Congratulations. Her team went down. They won a regional tournament. They got them into the nationals. They went down and won in a shootout, and she was the 5th player in the shootout. And it was like, she scores, they win. She doesn't score, it goes to round 6. She scored, and they are the national champs for the entire U.S. Not a local thing, not a regional thing. She is a national champ. So I don't know if
it's a U14 national champ, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if Nesson is going to do another profile on her, but they should.
They definitely should do a profile on the team, right? So
no, Biff. She won this by herself. She like me on Friday night. I just put all you guys on my back and carry you across the finish line. No, but congratulations to my niece Julia. It's really exciting. It's one of those things. When she's 70, she's going to be able to say, "Yeah, I was a national champ. This was a huge thing."
I'm hoping that she has kind of
other things, gold medals,
all that
NCAA championship. Do they give out a Hobie Baker for women's college hockey? I'm sure they do.
It's called Patty Kazmaier.
Look at you. See, this is why.
No. You know why I know?
Because I'm
not a misogynist.
You're a better person than me. That's not saying a lot. Okay, what do you got hockey wise?
Well, so the big stuff on Twitter this week was for the. The Mighty Ducks, not Mighty Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks player named Troy Terry got beaten up by Jay Beagle, and what prompted it technically was an incident where the Ducks were already up, I think 5-0. It was kind of pretty late in the game, and what partially led to a 5-0 score was Trevor Zegras scored a Michigan goal, like maybe their second goal of the game was a Michigan goal, and apparently the Ducks were kind of tripping it up all game. And so towards the end of the game, when they're up 5-0, and Trevor Zegras kind of pokes at a goalie on a scramble in front of the net, Jay Beagle took exception and and we all seen this, right? You're down 5-0, and the other team is still poking at the goalie's glove to get another goal. Yeah, that guy is going to cross check the player who tried to poke, right? We've seen it 100,000 times in hockey. And then one of Zegras' teammates, Troy Terry, comes in and essentially kind of pushes them, pushes Beagles in once again, right? It's a guy coming to his teammates aid, right? We've seen that 100,000 times in hockey. And then it's one of those things where it starts a little bit of a skirmish. Now, I would have expected that Beagle being, even though he's not a fighter, he is one of those physical players, and Troy Terry being kind of an all skill guy. We know when there's a fighter and a skill guy, it just you do that little dance of that shoving match or something like that, and it's generally over. But Beagle went off on Troy Terry. I mean, he went off, and
he I think the term is went all Ike Turner.
Absolutely, and it's one thing to start beating the guy up, but essentially he had him down on the ice and just kept on beating him. So obviously some failures on the on the part of the linesman to not be able to prevent that from happening. I mean, Troy Terry got beaten up so much that his eyes were so swollen up that he actually missed games because of it. So it was that bad. And obviously I sent you the Twitter photo where he just looks like, hey, this dude just got beaten up, right? Just
like seriously took his lunch money and everything.
But what really raised a lot of eyebrows was Tyson Nash, who is one of these analysts, and he's calling the game from between the benches. Basically says that's what happens when you skill it up. And so that went back to this whole backlash about. So once again, it's that freaking old hockey men insisting on preserving 70s hockey, right? And so
for me, somebody who loved fighting, who that was my favorite part as a player, it was my favorite part as a fan. I'm like, that's a bygone era. Like the odd scrap, sure. There's still a place in hockey for the old scrap, but like you talked, there's a code. It's tough guy on tough guy. Look, if somebody takes an extra poke at the goalie, you have to tell him not to take a poke at the goalie. Right. And then one of his teammates has to tell you, hey, don't tell him not to take a poke at the goalie. That's part of it. But this whole Donnybrook, empty the benches, no. I mean, just no. Its day has passed. And for me to say that.
I mean, I listen, I mean, to be 100% fair, I mean, everything that happened up to the point where they kind of, faced each other, I'm okay with Jay Beagle, essentially kind of fighting, Troy Terry to a point, right? But I mean,
but not a bloody
that guy
point.
Into a pulp, right? Yeah. I mean, essentially, you have to understand. There was that code, as you mentioned. The tough guy on tough guy code. That you don't like. I remember it was probably like good 20 years ago where there was some crap going on between the Kings and the Red Wings, where it eventually led to Luke Robitaille kind of challenging Chris Chelios to a fight, and Chelios just kind of laughed at him. And this is kind of what you want to see, right? It's like, dude, I get what you're doing, but come on, Luke, right? I mean, that's what that was, right? And,
classic.
And that's kind of what you want to see there, right? Jay Beagle should say, this is just a little, this is a kid who's a skilled kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just trying to do the right thing. I was hoping that he would at least
take him to the ground. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just let him know you could beat him to a pulp, but you don't have. Yeah. Other than hockey, what are you watching, Biff?
I'm watching. I'm watching NHL hockey and NCAA hockey. So are they the same thing? Or
no, completely different animals.
Because tomorrow night, NCAA finals in your neck of the woods.
Where's it being played?
It's in Boston. I don't know if it's at the. I thought it would be at the TD Gardens tomorrow, but tomorrow's the finals. So.
Who's playing?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
And who's playing?
It's actually so. I was so sure that Michigan would make it to the final to that finals, because Michigan had, I want to say they have 4 out of the first 7 first-round picks from this past draft, which is crazy talent. But they lost in overtime on a horrible play to Denver. So, and then Minnesota and Minnesota State, I couldn't watch that game because I I was at the hockey game last night, so I didn't get to watch that second game. But it's Denver versus Minnesota State for the finals.
Wow. No, it's that time of year where I'm pretty much just focused on the Bruins.
Why?
I'm a homer.
No. I mean, here's why I say why. Because I'm not focused on the Leafs at all. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the standings, they're not going to lose their playoff position. I mean, Columbus is not catching anybody.
Right. No, it is where it is. Right.
Yeah. So it's at a point where I watch the Leafs games, but I don't.
Well, I should say I ask the listening devices in my house what the score is, and if the Bruins are winning going in the third, it's like, yeah, I'll go downstairs and watch that, and management can watch her Bachelor or 90-day stuff upstairs. So I'll play a little Resident Evil on one TV while watching the game on the other because I have no life. But I am watching the latest Marvel TV show has dropped. The first 2 episodes called Moon Knight, which is really good. And again, let me tell you something fun about it. So Moon Knight, it's a character that I knew of, but I don't know a lot of. It's basically a guy's possessed, or a guy is controlled by a fallen Egyptian god of justice. So he kind of carries out that guy's will. But here's the fun thing. We're watching the second episode, and the main character doesn't know it's like a split personality. Like when he falls asleep, this other guy takes him over and goes out and beats up bad guys around the world. He has a secret locker, and the guy finds a key to it, goes to the storage unit. As he's going to unlock the storage unit, on the screen where the lock is on the storage unit door, there's a QR code. Management pauses, takes her phone over, scans a QR code, and it launches to a free Marvel Moon Knight online digital comic book.
Cool.
She's like, wait a minute, was that a QR code? Yeah. And so she rewound it, walked on over, and it was. The other thing I'm rewatching Ted Lasso. I'm watching Winning Time, which is great.
So let me get this straight. Yeah. So you're watching a series that you've already watched, but you don't really actually have the time to watch like some of the best hockey tournaments ever. That's what you're telling me.
Well, because it will be in the
No.
Yes,
I asked you a 100%. Yes/no question.
Yes, Mr. Taylor. I do. No, it's like if I'm cooking the boys dinner, like I'll have it on in the background. If I'm folding laundry at like 5:00, and the games don't start out here till but yes, I will rewatch Ted Lasso over almost anything. I'm watching Winning Time, the Lakers thing, and I cannot believe how much I like it. Turns out none of the Lakers were consulted. Like Magic and Kareem weren't consulted, but it's great. But the biggest thing,
well, to be fair, I don't think Kareem was hoping to be consulted. I mean, Magic maybe, but I don't think Kareem's that guy. So
no, but I cannot stress how great it is. But the big thing that we watched as a family this week, Ryan Reynolds, who I thought was taking a break from acting, but he must have shot like 20 movies in the last 3 years for Netflix. Yeah. It's called The Adam Project.
I heard about it. Yeah,
it's a time travel kind of thing. Yeah. Dude, it's Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. It's awesome. It's Mark Ruffalo's in it. But it is really good. It's smart. It's funny. It's on Netflix. It's called The Adam Project. But it's vintage Ryan Reynolds. So if you hate Ryan Reynolds, this is not the movie for you. If you like Ryan Reynolds, then definitely give this a watch. It is great. The Adam Project on Netflix. What do you got other than hockey? Is that it? Just hockey, more hockey?
I tried to watch the first. I tried to watch Shang-Chi, but I had to stop because I had to go pee. And when I say I had to stop because I had to go pee, I was watching it while I was giving platelets, and then I had to go pee. So yeah, so I didn't finish it. So I do have to finish that.
It's great. It's absolutely
It's been
great.
Fantastic so far. Yeah. I got to the point where the dude gets to the gate. Let's just say he gets to the gate. Okay. That's where I'm at.
I cannot tell you how many times Ellen will just say to me, "What happened to your shirt?" Aquafina's great line.
Aquafina is so good in that.
Wait. Your name's Sean, and you changed it to Sean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you wonder how they found you, you know. But that
Yeah.
scene on the bus, dude,
That was, oh my God, that is nuts.
after you're done watching the movie, Disney has the making of, dude,
Okay.
to see, because that's a lot of practical effects.
Absolutely.
That's him on a soundstage on a real bus where he slides on the roof and grabs like the mirror and swings in. Dude, that's all real. That guy, the training that he did for that movie, fucking hats off. And again, it's one of those funny things. He's a no-name actor, bit parts. He's making a living on like doing like stock photo modeling. And he tweets at Marvel like 5 or 6 years ago. It's like, hey, when you're gonna have a great Asian, like he did, he tweeted them like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago saying, hey, why don't you do a great Asian superhero, Shang-Chi or something like that? And like, you know, as a joke, and here he is. No, that movie is great.
So wait, did you watch Kim's Convenience? Because I watched like the first 6 episodes and it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Yeah. Do you have a parenting tip?
Do I have a parenting tip? I did have a parenting tip and I had noted it down and now I forgot. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, maybe you'll think of yours while I'm telling mine.
Yeah.
So my 14-year-old is now old enough to go to the gym. Despite my physique, believe it or not, I am at my core a gym rat. I love the gym. You know, without getting into any detail that you all know too much, didn't have the best relationship with my dad until he got into competitive bodybuilding in his late 30s when I'm about 14. So I was about the same age that my son was when my dad got into competitive bodybuilding. So I went from never seeing him to spending my summers in Buffalo, training with him, training with other, you know, the guy Richie Dunn from the Sabres, who was his workout partner for many years. So it's been a really fun thing that my son is freakishly strong. It's one of those things. He's freakishly strong, but can't do a push-up type thing. Yeah, he just doesn't have like, it's a lot of it is from the neck up. You know what I mean? That he doesn't think he can. So, so, but we're going to, it is. It's like the pitcher who can throw a 95-mile fastball right down the middle of the plate, but can't throw the ball to first base. You know, one of those things. But it's been a really fun father-son thing for the past 5-6 weeks now, taking him to the gym 2 or 3 times. It's actually made me miss my dad quite a bit. And I'm just stealing all my dad's material. Like, you know, there's a shoulder roll. There's a shoulder roll exercise. So the weights start, you know, dumbbells on your hands and in front of your, you know, and then you roll your shoulders. So now they're on like the back of your thighs and the front. And so when I remember the day my dad first showed me the exercise, he goes, you know, I call this a Jacques. And he's standing in front of the mirror. It's like, hey, why don't you put your dish in the sink? I don't know. And he would say, I don't know, while rolling his shoulders back. It's like, hey, are you ever going to ask a girl out? I don't know. And he would roll his shoulders front. And so he got to show me how to work out while making fun of me. And I've been able to pass that proud tradition on. I mean, now I'm not, my dad was kind of, he was just a product of his era, and a pretty girl would walk by in the gym and my dad would always have to say a comment to me like, hey, you want to go say hi to your new mom? You know what I mean? Just awful stuff. I am not subjecting my son to that bullshit, but my parenting tip is, you know, he has pushed back less against this than some other stuff that we've done together.
That's good. That's good.
And he hates going and he bitches when we first get there, but within like 5 or 10 minutes, you know, he's actually having fun. And we have this nice little window of time to do something together. Because I can be on the Stairmaster next to him. I can be on the elliptical next to him. It's like, you know, all the things are machines now. So there's no free weight bench press. It's a bench press machine. So we can use the same machine. I do it, and then you just take out the pin and you put it in his.
Right.
I may or may not point out to him each and every time that, oh, on the leg press, you did 70. That's really good. Now, what's 70 times 4? 280. Okay, I'll do 280. And then he's like, I hate you. You know, so yeah, I still have that little chip. You know, I still have that little bit from my dad to pass on to him. But he might be the 3rd generation gym rat, and it's been a really fun thing to do it together. So that's my parenting tip. Fine, you know, don't just say go and be healthy. Do it with them.
That's cool.
You know. Now, are you going to take your kid out fishing and teach him how to get your fishing pole stolen by a fish?
No.
You just have to learn that
There'll
on
be
your
none of
own,
that.
I guess. I guess you just have to
That's
learn.
correct. That is none of that.
Did you think about jumping
There will
in
be
and
none of
getting
that.
it? How much was that fishing pole? Was it a
No, I
cheap
did
one?
jump.
you
I actually
did?
did jump in.
Oh,
You know what? I didn't care about losing the fishing pole.
you want the
I cared
damn
about
fish.
catching the fish. Yeah. Is if a fish is big enough to take the freaking rod, how big is that fish? So, yeah, I didn't care about the rod.
Take a skate around, Biff.
Yeah.
Take a skate around.
Absolutely.
Did you remember what your tip was?
No.
All right. The other thing with my oldest son, he doesn't like my band that much. He likes my friend Dan. He thinks, oh, you guys are really good.
Yeah.
But recently, I've been playing him music of our old bass player. He's become friend.
Yeah.
My friend John lives in Austin.
Right.
It's just an amazing musician, beyond an amazing musician, and he loves his music. And so he just recently came to town. My buddy came to town, and I dug out. I don't know how old the shirt is. I had one of his old band T-shirts that I got at a show, and I wore it. And now my oldest son is like, "Hey, that's a great shirt. Can I have it?" Sadly, he fits in the same clothes. And I'm like, "Yeah." So I took a picture at the gym today, and I sent it to my buddy John. I'm like, "Hey, do you have any old merch? Because the oldest one, G-Man really likes you guys." So, so I'm gonna go out on the song I'm gonna play this week. It's called Indie Rock by my buddy John. That is G-Man's favorite song, but I'm leaving the rest up to you to bring it home, Biff.
Well, I mean, so the other thing is that maybe I don't know if you need to check in with Gene or not, but maybe, one of these days we could play one of Gene's songs to get out. But anyway, so yeah. Hey, every year everybody has one birthday and they get a year older. And, some of us are getting to that point where, the rest of our lives is a little bit shorter than the lives that we lived. And, with that going on, it's important that we don't forget